big story coming in, a big update in the Jharkhand mining scam case. The ECI has recommended the disqualification of Soren. That's the big story coming in. Mining scam raids are going on, and the ECI has recommended the disqualification of Hemant Soren because of the charges against him. Big development. This also, of course, is going to have ramifications. He could even lose the post of the Chief Minister. The Election Commission has sent its opinion to the Jharkhand governor on the plea seeking Chief Minister Hemant Soren to be disqualified as an MLA. Madhav Das joins us with more details on this. Madhav, big update coming in, a setback. What could this disqualification mean?
Well, this is important announcement at this point of time, because what the Election Commission has recommended is on the basis of a process that they have followed. The full bench has considered the pleas of Hemant Soren as well as of the complainants in this particular matter, and a reference, of course, had come in as far as the Jharkhand governor is concerned, and therefore they have sent that particular recommendation of disqualification of Soren back to the governor's office. And this, of course, is a very important development, because now the ball is in the court of the governor. It is for the governor to now act, and in fact, with the conflict of interest clearly being alleged and the Election Commission finding merit in that particular aspect, now, of course, Hemant Soren appears to be all set to be disqualified as a legislator. That appears to be the recommendation. That is the recommendation that has gone in. Now, what will the Jharkhand governor do is something that we have to watch out for. So, big development indeed expected in Ranchi in the next 24 hours. And, of course, all eyes on the governor's house there, the Raj Bhavan there, as to what really will be the announcement coming in officially done, given the fact that the Election Commission has given its recommendation, and in such situations the governor does go by what the Election Commission has found in such a situation. So with in fact those allegations of Hemant Soren and in fact misuse of his office, his ministerial office, in fact Election Commission finding a direct conflict of interest there, and of course also saying that it was not really appropriate for a minister to do that, recommendation of his disqualification as a legislator has been proposed. Now all eyes on what really the governor does from here on.
Right. So the governor can decide on what next, but he could act on the recommendation of the ECI. The charge against the Chief Minister is directly on him for violating electoral law by extending the mining lease to himself.
Absolutely. In fact, Hemant Soren, in fact, to explain to our viewers, is in fact also the mining minister when it comes to the state of Jharkhand. In this situation, Hemant Soren had in fact gone ahead and recommended or for a particular company in which he was himself associated for a mining lease, and this is a direct conflict of interest, and certainly, of course, legislators are not supposed to hold any kind of office of profit, and in that sense also it is a violation of the provisions of the Representation of People Act. So clearly, of course, a very big issue in terms of not just and remember, this is all happening in the backdrop of the ED's own investigation into this entire matter, where aides of Hemant Soren have been raided, where incriminating material has been found, the central agency has said, and in the backdrop of that is this entire aspect of the Election Commission's own procedures, which are currently underway. They have been hearing this matter. They have sought a response from Hemant Soren. Hemant Soren had, on health grounds and on grounds of his lawyer being unwell, also sought for more time. Now all of that process being completed, it is completely incumbent on the governor to take a call on the basis of the Election Commission's recommendations as far as Hemant Soren and in fact his entire matter of disqualification is concerned as a legislator, because clearly the disqualification of the Representation of People Act is a very important aspect of all of these procedures that are currently underway as far as the EC and the governor's house in Jharkhand is concerned.
Right. So in the next few hours, a lot of drama expected to unfold in Ranchi, in Jharkhand. But Madhav, what's expected next? This is the recommendation that has been made by Election Commission. The governor can take his time to decide. If he decides to go through with this disqualification, what next for Hemant Soren? What are the legal options that he'll have?
Well, Hemant Soren may be able to go ahead and he may challenge this in a court of law, but once he ceases to be a legislator, the options for him continuing as a Chief Minister of Jharkhand are very limited. Of course, one will have to go to constitutional experts to see what really is the precedent in such kind of matters, but really from the way it looks and what appears to be coming up before us is that Hemant Soren will have his position as the Chief Minister at least will be untenable the moment he is disqualified as legislator in Jharkhand, what then are the options for him? Now, that continues to be a very, very important question. I was looking at immediate snap polls in the state of Jharkhand. Will it be president's rule that will be recommended? Will Hemant Soren fight it out in the courts? All of these are questions that at the moment are in the realm of speculation, but certainly very, very important questions, nevertheless, that we have to consider, given the fact that the Election Commission has directly recommended his disqualification as a legislator.
That's right. In the last few days and weeks, Madhav, there has been a lot of focus not just on Hemant Soren but also his close associates who are under the Enforcement Directorate's radar with some incriminating evidence also being found.
Well, absolutely. As you rightly mentioned, his entire matters are being investigated by the Enforcement Directorate. The entire issue of mining and the misuse of how these contracts were actually granted. All of these, the criminal aspect of this is certainly being investigated. The money laundering aspect of it being investigated by the Enforcement Directorate. But this is what we are talking about is a violation Representation of People Act, Section 9 of the Representation of People Act at some level, the Section 9A particularly dealing with the aspect of disqualification, in fact, prevents, the same minister from awarding any kind of contracts or leases to the companies in which he or she is directly associated. And unfortunately for Hemant Soren, in this case, that is what the Election Commission, after listening to all the sources, all the aspects, all the sides, all the stakeholders, has come to the conclusion that his position as a legislator is not tenable and is likely case for disqualification. Now, what does the Jharkhand governor do from here on remains to be seen. Those irregularities as far as the grant of mining leases also have been filed before the High Court there, which has allowed two PILs in these matters where the irregularities in grant of mining lease as well as the money laundering of the Chief Minister's family members are being heard currently. So those are two very, very important aspects. We remember how on the 6th of May, the residence of the mining secretary, Pooja Singhal, and her associates was also, of course, had made headlines given the Enforcement Directorate had looked into that entire matter with allegations of huge amounts of cash in crores that had been seized from the house of a chartered accountant as well. So given the background of all of these matters, the troubles for Hemant Soren, particularly in this time from the Election Commission of India and its report that has been granted appear to be only building, and remains to be seen really what happens once, in fact, the Jharkhand governor whose office is in receipt. In fact, sources have confirmed that recommendation has gone to the Jharkhand governor's office. The governor's office has received the report of the Election Commission. So in that, in the wake of that, the decision completely in the hands of the Jharkhand governor. It is for him to see how to proceed with this matter. Sources indicating that the decision could be taken within the next 24 hours.
Okay, all right. Madhav, also talking about what next is going to be a crisis for the JMM. Of course, the raids have been going on. The corruption taint has been on the JMM. But now, with the disqualification of Hemant Soren, it could be a crisis of sorts for the JMM and for the Jharkhand government. So what would happen next if Hemant Soren is disqualified? What would it mean for the government?
Well, obviously, the continuing of the government is in doubt. If the chief minister is and his position is untenable, then the entire government does not continue in office. That is a clear precedent that we have seen. Now, what will Hemant Soren do remains to be seen in terms of what legal options he has once the governor's decision is announced. Will he be trying to take some kind of legal recourse, fight it out in the Supreme Court or the High Court, or will he go to the People's Court directly and be prepared to face elections in the state of Jharkhand? That is going to be the most important question. So I think that's a question that only Mr. Hemant Soren at this point of time can answer for us. What exactly will he do? Will he go out kicking and screaming and fighting on this entire issue, or is he going to go and accept a verdict of the people of Jharkhand? That's going to be an important question that we have to watch out for, the outcome of which perhaps at this point of time only the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, the party that Mr. Hemant Soren leads, and he himself can answer for us.